President Donald Trump announced this week a new White House council to deal with the issue of opportunity zone that's promoting economically depressed areas. Okay, now Trump called the council a very big thing, limited vocabulary, folks, and said it would feature efforts across the entire federal government to deliver jobs, investment, and growth the communities that need it the most. Now, Ben Carson is Secretary of HUD. He's going to be heading up the council. Also speaking at the White House was Dr. Donte Hickman, senior pastor of the Southern Baptist Church in Baltimore. And I earlier talked to him about these opportunity zones. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. You want to write this website down, marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org, and I'll tell you why. As we transition to the holiday season, this is the time we start thinking about giving and sharing, and sometimes the best gift that you can give someone is an opportunity that could potentially change their lives. That's why the folks at Transatlantic Real Estate have an opportunity. They've created an investment opportunity for the everyday investor, which it involves legal marijuana and crowdfunding. Now, we all know that legal marijuana has created one of the fastest growing industries in the country, multi-billion-dollar industry. We also know that crowdfunding makes it easy to be an early investor of an opportunity. But it gets even better. Transatlantic Real Estate is different, and they have a business model that is simply to understand. They buy land that supports marijuana grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. Now, what that means is you would be investing in the landlord of a licensed marijuana farm in a high-growth market. You can invest as little as $300 up to $10,000 before the company goes public. Now, here's some more good news. They've extended their offer, which means you still have time if you take action now. Now, keep in mind, you must complete and confirm your application to participate, so be sure to complete the process. Don't spend all of your money over the holidays and end up with empty pockets. Instead, you can get a return on your investment. You can also consider making an investment for someone else. All you got to do is go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org for you to get in the game. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. Dr. Hickman, let's talk about these opportunity zones. First of all, these are not new. Enterprise zones go back to 1993, and so we've seen this really for the past 25 years. What makes this different?
What makes it different for me is that I'm different. I've been a pastor of Southern Baptist Church for 16 years, engaged in community development, trying to bring the necessary investment into the community to restore people as we rebuild properties. And when I heard of this investment coming into the community, it's one of many that we'd like to take advantage of for the benefit of our people.
Now, one of the issues that we have seen is that the people who are most excited are obviously real estate investors or developers. How do you also guard against gentrifying areas, that people will come in and, again, taking advantage of tax breaks, but not actually benefiting the very people who live there?
This is one of the very reasons why I went to the White House this past week, to make sure that when you're talking about urban and distressed communities, that you have a voice from the urban and distressed community who knows what it is to be distressed and in poverty, to be at that table. One of the things that we've done at our church is make sure that we've acquired site control of all of the properties just north of Johns Hopkins, so that what happened at Johns Hopkins with displacement could not happen in the over 100 acres of property that we have now directed and have a city-approved master plan for. So we mitigate against gentrification with a mantra to restore people, with having more diversification in the community, providing opportunities where people can qualify for quality neighborhoods of their rearing. And one of the things that I loved about being in the roundtable discussion this past week was hearing from people like Senator Tim Scott talking about mitigating against gentrification by having existing community leaders and residents on those particular committees that give decision to those communities. So in our neighborhood, with the faith-based institutions as stakeholders, you can't just come in and run roughshod and move people out. You have to do something about meeting the needs of the people who are in.
So in your area, how are you looking to maximize this opportunity zone? And what are you looking to do?
We're the incubator for workforce development, career opportunities and options. We're the incubator for nutrition and wellness, affordable housing, public safety, and education. And so we're dictating and determining how those opportunities get filled. We're looking at how we're doing development. We're breaking ground on 2 projects again this coming spring. And we're making sure that we're on the ground floor of social incubation and innovation, where our people have access to developing retail jobs, where they have access to the capital and equity investment to build those kinds of economic development stratospheres for our people.
Now, again, when we talk about these zones and what they're putting in, are we talking about federal dollars? Are we talking about private investment? Exactly how is your particular area working?
We're talking about both and. So in our area, we utilize new market tax credits, low-income housing tax credits. We utilize public funding, and we want to utilize these equity investors who want to bring in money to particular projects that fulfill artificial gaps that have been created by the devaluation of our property. And
now, how long have you already been at it? Because, again, this was an announcement this week. And, again, there are a lot of people out there who went, oh, my God, this is new. And I'm going, okay, it's not new.
So, yeah, we've been at this master planning and development for the last 12 years at least of my pastorate. When I came in, my successor had already did the first 62-unit senior housing project, and Healthy Neighborhoods did a study. No amount of investment in this community, and the darker the shade of the map, the less likely any amount of investment will work. But the church proved them wrong by investing the first $1 million into a $12 million project where it was leased up on day one, which was a catalyst of development for a workforce development initiative that came in for $22 million. And we've developed the next $16 million senior housing project that was burned down during the riots of Freddie Gray. And the real miracle was that we built it a year later where people leased it up on the first day because they want to live in their communities.
So in this space, you said 100 acres, is what you said?
100 acres.
So we're talking about housing, not just for senior citizens, but for anybody. Are we talking about jobs? Are we talking about also industry? And so it's a multitude of things in that particular area.
Sure, and business development. Any investor can invest in someone's business and parlay that investment for 10 years and for their capital gains, get that investment back after 10 years and a percentage of the profitability. And if they want to keep that money invested in that particular company, they can do so. Our job in the community is to make sure our people are prepared for equity investment, that they have pro formas and business models, and they're ready to go to get that kind of investment. And what really helps them is the ability to get the capital for actual buildings that they need to renovate, because that's a major amount of money for people to put out in terms of a business. What I did like at the White House meeting was that they said investors are excited and corporations are excited, but the community's not excited because the community, of course, is distrusting and doesn't really know what's available.
But here's the other piece. I'll be honest with you. Part of the problem is they didn't tell anybody. I'm being straight up. I sent a text message to the White House. I saw the video and I said, did y'all think to actually tell black media folks that you were having this announcement? Because again, it's one of those things, and it's happened before. They've done things in HUD, and I said you might want to tell folks about that. And look, and I certainly understand how black folks are distrustful of this administration for a variety of reasons. I said, but you can't act as if you make announcements and then think, okay, why didn't anybody cover them? If you don't reach out to the very people who are likely to tell their story.
Yeah, and I think part of it's on us too, because, there's a late announcement. There's an executive order to kind of streamline funds and cut cross agencies and silos. And even in Baltimore, there are opportunity for elected officials to come, and everybody's so distracted by the partisan politics, by the personal prejudices, that we don't even want a seat at the table. For me, when I see rural and urban distressed areas in an executive order, if urban is not represented, then it's going to go to rural. It's going to
Right.
go to areas where they designate. I think it's up to us to go to the library and get an education.
Oh, no,
And
absolutely.
that's what our ancestors they did.
Absolutely.
Education wasn't brought to them. They had to go find a book and read it.
What I told this White House, though, which is part of the problem, is they've got no black folks on the press side. Unlike the previous White Houses where they actually had folks who specifically dealt with what they call specialty media, they don't have that. And
They
so
had Van Jones in the room.
No. He's not dealing with special. I'm talking about who works for the White House.
Sure.
The point I'm making is this is one of the mistakes that they keep making, and I've told them this that you aren't communicating with these black media outlets, black radio as well. I said, so then you go, well, why did anybody know? Because you didn't say anything.
I agree, and you make a good point because they harped on that. The communication's not getting out. We're not marketing this. This is not there. And so they're looking for ways of how to get that out. And when you have Senator Tim Scott and Senator Cory Booker as the sponsors
Right.
of this particular bill, and then you have Jerron, African-American, who's special assistant to the president, and now you have Ben Carson as the head of the council on this particular executive order, there's no reason in the world why.
So, let me ask you this here. So this is just, okay, so you got Ben Carson, who's already Secretary of HUD, and they got him over the council. Should there be somebody on the business side over this?
Well, it looks like Bob Johnson is involved on the business side. He was at the head of the table, and they're looking to him for leadership and guidance. The mayor of Norfolk was present. There were a number of entities, African Americans, that were represented, and I think Bob Johnson is the real lead on the business side.
Okay. Well, I would also suggest to them that, look, if it's business, have the Commerce Secretary, have
Charles was at the table.
Again, have the SBA, have folks who actually do that, because historically, here's what happens with black folks. You have the housing person. No, this is business.
Sure.
This is not housing.
Sure.
This is business.
Yep.
And so that's a different type of conversation, different expertise. And so that's just one of the things that, to me,
Secretary
also is
Childs of Commerce was there at the table. Javita from Treasury was at the table and really talking about making sure the regs are consistent for everybody. And I think this is a yeoman's attempt to make this bill right. I heard Ivanka standing behind me saying, this is the most positive thing and feeling and vibe, and this is what we want. We got to get this done.
Well, I would suggest to that White House, you talk to people who are not in the room to get the word out. If you don't communicate with them, they will never know.
Sure.
So that's the thing there. All right, cool. That's what we appreciate it. Thanks so much. Good luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.